Nabalan get some lawyer something test legend issue yin. Tarin get lenges and rona get legend nang, Yelam general consacam good chimpuchoki, Gagarki, Chibasigla, two Zepachimbu, Chamgyung Zishoki, Yendung Shiki, Gembe, Gulam Kato, Consachola, Seme Gundebishungi, Manda Chungbi tu. Zamling Yudu Manda Shikinang, Consachola, Tugu Yoba Meba Shungen Su, Tella, Mogu Gembeki, Legu Jigje Nidugi, Beshin Yobatar, Taring Yadung Yusasum, Dashiwe, Tse Nushuzang Yin, Boston Puri Jitun Sobe Kudio, Boston Nakuki, Puri Manda Shik Dunzumki, Consachola, Seme Shungen So, Moguki, Legu, Beyubi, Yindung Choktu Shuba Shik, Shamla. Sisi over show.
Dalai Lama! Dalai Lama! Dalai Lama!
What really happened, I think, is critical here. And I want to ask everyone just to take a breath and think with me about the media storm that has been swirling around His Holiness and the Tibetan world. So upsetting, so distressing, so outrageous to so many of us. Really, it strikes at our heart and our soul. But those headlines barely scratched the surface of the mainstream media. Barely. I've talked to media consultants. I've talked to people who are looking at this from the outside. They're not in the Tibetan world. They said, actually, we've been seeking advice for how to deal with this. They said, actually, it's quite amazing how little coverage it got and how quickly it disappeared from the headlines. Why? Because it's not a story. It's not true. It's so clearly not what it's made to appear. And that's why it disappeared from the headlines. It's barely there. It's a social media storm, for sure. But I think we have to recognize the reality of this, which is that a very, very small portion of the world even saw this or cares about this or is talking about it. I've talked to so many non-Tibetans. They're not Buddhists, they're not activists, they're not people in the human rights world, people who just didn't even know this happened. They saw my posts and they said, oh, I saw something happen, what happened? Or all of my friends from my school and my upbringing who are writing to me to say, oh my God, I saw that. Don't let it bother you too much. I saw the headline, I didn't even click on it because I knew it must be some Chinese government operation. I knew it must be a smear campaign. I know His Holiness the Dalai Lama well enough to know this is not true. And there are so many people out there that feel this way. They are really the silent majority. And I think we have to take comfort in that and recognize that. Please, everyone needs to know that. Spread that message. Now, of course, it is on social media, and there are some just of the worst people talking about this, just the worst people. These are people who seek attention. They live in a world of outrage and anger. They're not our friends, and they never were our friends. They're never going to march with us. They're never going to help us. They're inconsequential to our struggle. Do not give them power. They should not have it. What we can do, put rising to this occasion. They're fighting in a beautiful way. Let's do that. Let's show the world who he is. We have nothing to fear. We have nothing to apologize for. His Holiness is who he is, and we know who he is. And in the end, this will go. This will pass. His Holiness will still be one of the most beautiful, true leaders ever to walk on this earth. And not just for us, but for all of humanity. That's what will last. And we cannot let China have this moment. That's what this is about. They want to delegitimize him. They want to delegitimize our struggle. This is their attempt. Why? Because they've got nothing. They've got nothing. They have been spying on His Holiness. They have been hacking that office. They have been trying for decades to discredit us, and they've got nothing. So this is the best they can do. Yes, it hurts. It's wrong. It shouldn't have happened. But we're stronger than this. His Holiness is stronger than this. Tibetans inside need us to fight the battle and fight China. China is the enemy. The Chinese government is our enemy, not anyone else. Don't give them power. Please don't give them power. We could do something. We can do lots of things. If it's online that is really the problem here, especially for our younger generation, then let's get online and let's show the world who His Holiness is. Let's talk about our struggle. Let's show them what China is doing in Tibet. Take the energy, take all of your emotion, and fight for our country and our survival, please. All the young ones who are hurt by this, and it's hard to see your parents and your grandparents hurt, trust me, I know. I feel it too. But let's take it all and let's fight. Fight China's occupation of Tibet. Fight for our people inside. Fight for our language. Fight for our culture. It is what is truly at threat. Under threat. His Holiness, his reputation, his legacy, his gift to the world will stand, and it will live so much further than any of these people, any of these silly characters online who are trying to use this moment. And don't forget, of course, the Chinese government is in there distorting everything. Let's be smarter than them. Let's be smarter than the lowest common denominator of humanity that sits on social media and says awful things about people. They don't matter, and they have no power if we don't give them power. Long live His Holiness the Dalai Lama! Long live His Holiness the Dalai Lama!
Long live His Holiness the Dalai Lama! Free Tibet!
Social media picked up the story from social media, and then the event resurfaced after 1 month and 10 days after the incident. However, through our prima facie investigation, we found that the initial investigators are pro-Chinese sources that explain the motivation behind making this video clip viral. It needs no explanation as to who would gain from maligning the image, reputation, and legacy of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Considering the scale and extent of the orchestrated smear campaign, the political angle of this incident cannot be ignored. For the general public who consider this act as disturbing, we would appreciate if you could watch and listen to the whole video of the event to get a holistic understanding of the whole program, including His Holiness's speech. We are sure you will be able to differentiate between lust and love, and the unfairness of defaming one of the most respected and liked global icons of peace that narrows the scope of due diligence and holistic judgment. Thank you.
Dear international community, as a Tibetan American, I'm writing to express my support for His Holiness the Dalai Lama regarding the recent incident that has been the subject of media coverage. I believe that this coverage is part of a larger Chinese propaganda campaign designed to undermine the reputation and influence of His Holiness the Dalai Lama and the Tibetan cause. For decades, the Chinese government has been trying to suppress the Tibetan people's struggle for freedom and human rights. The Chinese government has actively engaged in a campaign to discredit His Holiness the Dalai Lama and to undermine the Tibetan people's struggle for human rights and freedom. This campaign has included the use of propaganda, misinformation, and disinformation to create a negative image of His Holiness the Dalai Lama and the Tibetan cause in the eyes of the international community.
I'm probably going to make the job so that you mentioned this power. I'm going to cover the corner.
This guy.
Laws cannot be fused.